generate the video output, the camera will generate the video output. So what are the actions performed by a particular object that you should draw exactly down? Here you can see the homeowner is doing these activities. Camera is doing this activity. Interface is doing this activity. So based on those activities, we have to divide into different swim lanes. Okay, swim lanes. This is called a swim lane diagram. Is it clear to everyone? How many of you are listening? 49. Flow-oriented modeling. Next is flow-oriented modeling. Flow-oriented modeling means data flow and control flow is there. So data flow means how the data is flowing from one system input to the output. That we can draw in the form of flow-oriented diagram. So this is also a graphical graphical technique. You can you can represent using the data flow diagram. So data flow diagram, actually there are different levels based on the, suppose if you want to draw an overview of the system, you can go for level 0. Then next level means it is the detailed diagram. That is level 1. Detailed definition of the entire system is level 1. Then level 2 means, suppose if you want more explanation to any of the parts, you can go for the level 2 diagram. Maximum 0, 1, 2, 3 is enough. 0, 1, 2 is enough, but 3 also possible. If you want multiple part need more explanation, you can go for level 0, level 1, 2, and 3, like that you can go. Anyway, 3 is enough. Enough for any normally. So if the system is more complex, you can go for more levels. So data flow model is a graphical technique used to represent the information and data. Information or data flow. The data objects, information or data. What is the difference between information and data? A processed data is called information. So data flow will represent that the data objects are flowing within the software transformed processing elements. So here the transformation we are represented using circles are called bubbles. Generally we call it as bubbles. You can see this is the bubble part. A bubble represent the process. Actually, we can use the two ways, either Gain and Sarson method or Uden and code method you can follow. If it is Gain and Sarson, they define the process in this way. The symbols are different, the remaining things are same. So, here you can see the process. A data store means a storage unit. An external entity. External entity means either input or output, which the software is interacting with the input and output part. That is external entity. So external entity is common in both cases. But data store, you could see here is a division, and cross also having a division. This is a curved rectangle, and this one is an oval shape, and you could see the difference. So suppose if you follow the Eden code, you should follow all these part. If you're using Gain and Sarson, this you could see for you could follow this thing. Okay, it depends where it is from textbook. With data flow we are representing using an arrowhead or an arrow. So the normal arrow. So this level 0 DFT is called a context diagram that you should remember. Sometimes we mention this context diagram. What is level 0? Level 0 means the abstraction. Means suppose if you want to draw the DFT of this university, you could draw the overview. How from where you get an overview? From top. Okay, if you look from the top, you will get an overview of the system. Okay, that's how could you draw? How could you draw that? That I will explain through an example. So then there are some rule you need to follow. For example, if there are two entities, you should not connect two entities directly. You need a process part in between. Like that, if there is an entity A, it stores some amount as some data on data store. Should not connect directly. There should need a process in between. So data store to entity also, you should use a process in between, and data store to data store is also not possible. So you should avoid this part. The direct connection you have to avoid, and you need a process block in between the data store or between entity. So this is the rule you need to follow while drawing the diagram. So I already said what is a SafeCom security system. In SafeCom security system, you just see the data flow. This is a DF0. DFD 0. 0 means overview. What is the overview? What are the entities? Here, what are the entities? Control panel, sensors are the input entities. And output are control panel, display, alarm, and telephone line. So this is the software. This is the process part. We are used a bubble or circle here. And the data flow. Data flow symbol is representing using an arrow. So control from the control panel, the user commands and data by coming to the SafeCom security system. And sensors also, it will detect the sensor status and send to the SafeCom software. Based on those informations, it will give the display information, alarm type. Suppose if you have fire alarm, theft, for different types of alarms you can set. So alarm type is giving to alarm, and telephone number tones is given to telephone line. Because sometimes if you will directly call the fire station, if fire comes to detected, not only informing the owner can't do anything, right? Then who will perform an action at fire station? Actually, I am not sure whether it's there in India, but anyway, now Western countries, this one is very common. SafeCom security system is implementing very common. It's very common. So when it comes to level one diagram is a more detailed analysis. What is more detailed thing? Here the inputs and output are same. The inputs are control panel, sensors, and output control panel, display, and alarm, and telephone line. But the inside process means SafeCom software process that we are drawing in detail. How could you draw that? From the control panel, the user commands and data is coming to the software, right? Home's security system. Then interact. What are the process? Process means interact with user, process password, activate, deactivate system, monitor sensor, configure system, and display messages and status. These are the main activities or operations. So when we enter the details in the control panel, it is interacting with the user, right? Why? Because user can see what is there in the control panel. If we are not validated, if it's not validated, you can enter the password multiple times. So once we enter the password, it will process the password. So once it's done, then you can go for start and stop operations. Means activate and deactivate the system. Suppose if you don't want to monitor one particular camera, you can also switch off that. If you want, if you fix some 10 cameras, no need to monitor all the cameras all the time. If you want to focus upon some 2 to 3 cameras, you can deactivate the remaining. Okay. Then system can configure it. And how could they verify the data? Using configuration information. Configuration information is stored in any of the databases. So with that one, it's very validating, right? So configuration data is passing here, and display messages and status. What is display message and status? That is displaying in the control panel. So the display information is going to control panel. And sensor and monitor, actually, sensors are there. What is sensor? Suppose if a fire comes, how could I identify that? Because from the fire, when fire comes, what comes? How could I identify that?
Smoke or heat? No?
Smoke will come, right? So it will detect, the sensors will detect the smoke. So the sensor status is coming to the monitor sensors. So monitor sensors means it is a process. What is the process here? It's sensoring, it's monitoring the sensors. So that status is passing from the sensors. And this is a software part actually. Because the entire thing, this entire process belongs to this part, SafeHome software part, SafeHome software. Here we give the detailed, means all modules we are separating here and giving the input and output. So if the monitor, if the sensor monitored and it detect there is a fog, what will happen? That sensor information is passed to the display. Then it will display in the control panel. This is the software part. So this is the hardware part. So this is a monitor display. Okay, it's happening there. The next is alarm. Alarm is coming to the alarm type. Alarm means it will alarming to means it makes a siren. Siren will comes. Then telephone number tones. Telephone line, actually it may call the owner or it may call the fire station, or that also you can configure. So this is a SafeHome security system, DFT level 1. So what is the need of drawing the DFTs? How the data is flowing from one module to another module internally. As okay, without reading or without knowing how the system is functioning, you can easily identify, you can easily understand how the system is functioning through this DFT diagram. Okay, so this is the level 1. I will show you how the level 2 looks like, sir. This is level 2. This level 2 actually only one part is showing, that is monitor sensor processor. Monitor sensor means this last part, this part, sensors, monitor sensors, display messages and status, and control panel display, and making alarm and telephone line call. So this is the only this part. It's not we are not drawing the remaining user password validation part. The authorization part is not here. Only we are giving that monitor sensor process. So here you could see the sensor status, read sensors. What sensors are reading? Sensor status. Is there any smoke or not? Or not only the camera input also, it can sense different types of sensors you're using based on your application. So then what is transferring to setup sensor ID and sensor type? Means different sensors are allocating in different rooms. I mean, in kitchen you need a fire alarm, but in the remaining rooms, maybe you will go for other kind of surveillances. You are scared about theft type of things. So the different types of sensor ID and type, then only it could identify where it happens. If the sensor ID is passing, that information is passing, then only we could identify in which room it is happening, where the location. We don't, the fire station people don't have time to find out the place. So the details should be transferred to them. So assess again setup. Then alarm data is passing, generate the alarm signal, alarm type. That you can configure. And telephone number. If the telephone number we got, it will automatically dial the phone and give it. And display format. Display format means what it will display the sensor ID, type, and location will mention the display. The sensor information is passing to the display. So the configuration data is storing in any of the storage data, means database or any storage devices. So it represented in the form of storage information. Here actually we used this Jordan and code. This is more popular actually. Jordan and code symbols popular. This one also correct, but popular way to represent is bar the simple data store. One open and one end is open. One so if you want to give details of any one of the parts, you can represent in level 2. Suppose if another section need more detailed diagram, we can give us level number 3. The FD4, you should mention which part you explain here. Here it is motor sensor process. So is there any doubt in this DFD? For lab also you have to draw this DFDs. Is there any doubt? The sensor status is detected by sensors and sensor ID and type is transferred to the setup, and based on that show the mean sensor ID location, everything is displaying in the display panel, and it will generate alarm signal, and at the same time it will call the telephone also. The informations are stored in configuration informations are stored in one database. So this is the level 2 DFD. If you have doubt, ask me. This is only for which one? SafeHome security system. First, you understand what is a SafeHome security system. SafeHome security system is a software which help you to save your home. It uses sensors to monitor your house. How many of you understand? Please raise your hands. Are you really understanding or simply saying as I understood? Don't understand, please ask Out of 48 students, okay, participants raise their hand. 31 now. My question is, okay, I don't believe these many students understood all the topics clearly. My question is not raise your hands. If you understand, if I already understood, you have to raise your hands. You understood already the data flow diagrams today topic, then you raise your hands. Today discussed data flow diagram means it's flow oriented scenario, flow oriented model. So we discussed DFD 0, DFD 0 means context level DFD, then DFD 1, 2. I will show you one more example. This is another DFD. And another DFD for a railway station ticket booking. Okay, passenger, admin, and railway reservation. This is the process, and these two are the entities. What is the passenger is doing? He can cancel, he can reserve, he can ask for the ticket information. So these are the active actions performing by the passenger. And what an admin will do? Admin used to usually have one up and down train information, and reservation or cancelling informations, and passenger information. So all informations are monitoring and controlling by admin people. So when the railway reservation software is running, it has to, what is the input and output is there. It needs to interact with these two entities, passenger and admin. Passenger is asking for the information for some activities, then the software is taking help from admin. Admin is doing all the processing activities. Means it store all the information, all the database information is stored by the actually in level 0. And when you draw the level 0, you should not include a data storage. Means the storage part you should not mention. You just show the interaction between the entities and the process. A detailed diagram when you draw, you can use other symbols. Okay. So here it's not showing the internal databases. If you want to show the internal database, you have to draw the storage. If it's not needed, you can actually level 0, you should not mention those details. Then this is a level 1. Level 1 means the same thing which we have seen here. This is an overview. This is more detailed information. What is more detailed part? Look, the passenger and admin. Passenger and admin. Actually, admin is not showing here. You can draw the admin also. You can give one data flow symbol here, and you can give the entity. What is the entity here? Admin. Here actually the processes are showing in level passenger, and passenger raise he can do operations like a reservation process or inquiry. If it is reservation process, takes the ticket generation process. Means next is ticket generation process, right? How can they reserve the process using reservation storage? What is the information reservation storage? What are the allocated and vacant spaces, right? Vacant seats. That information from a database. So reservation database. From there, actually, the reservation process, that software give a request to the storage. It will give the reply back. What is the reply? The allocated and the free space, free. Based on that,